I completely fell for the girl next door, the one who had protected me since we were just kids. Every single day, she'd press her freezing feet into my hands to warm them up, and we'd hide in the corner, whispering our biggest secrets. But the exact second she figured out I had feelings for her, she turned ice cold. She didn't just rip away all that warmth and gentleness. She started lashing out, throwing brutal words at me just to shatter my hopes completely. She actually dragged some guy home and looked me dead in the eye, telling me to call him my brother-in-law. That night, I cried so hard, I swear my heart physically shattered into pieces. I knew right then it was finally time for me to disappear. So I picked up the phone, called my professor, and said, "Professor, I'll do it. I agree to join the cryopreservation experiment. Please, sign me up." I kept my voice dead calm. Professor Lee's heavy sigh crackled through the speaker. "Yuxin, are you absolutely sure you've thought this through? I know the cancer diagnosis crushed you, but there's still a tiny sliver of hope for treatment. It's stage 4 lymphoma, Professor. We both know it's untreatable." He let out another heavy breath before answering. "The harsh truth is, our team's freezing technology is totally experimental right now. We haven't tested this on a living human being yet. There's a massive chance that the literal second you freeze, your heart will stop forever. Think this over, kid." I just offered a sad, broken smile. "Professor, my mind is already made up." And just like that, I hung up. A breaking news notification had flashed across my screen just a few minutes prior. Right there in the photo, Kai Chang and Qing Yao were holding hands, their fingers locked tightly together, and sitting right on Kai Chang's ring finger was a massive blue diamond ring. Even through the cracked glass of my phone, it sparkled like crazy. That blinding light felt like needles stabbing straight into my eyes. I bit down on my lip until it bled, but I couldn't stop the tears from streaming down my face, because today is my birthday. And the person I love more than life itself took the ring I personally designed and gave it to some other guy. Qing Yao, did it really have to end up like this? Do you seriously hate my guts that much? I sat there as the steaming hot dinner slowly turned freezing cold. Sitting alone at the dining table, my bleeding heart went completely numb right along with the food. Finally, at 2:30 in the morning, the heavy front door clicked open. Qing Yao walked inside, dragging the bitter chill of the late-night air right in with her. "Why the hell aren't you in bed yet?" The moment she locked eyes with me, her face dropped into a glare colder than ice. "Didn't I clearly tell you I was staying out late with Kai Chang tonight?" I dropped my head, sitting in total, suffocating silence for what felt like hours. Finally, my voice cracked as I whispered, "Happy birthday," even though it was already way past midnight, and her birthday was technically over. "Yuxin, what is seriously wrong with your head?" Qing Yao snapped, totally annoyed. "Kai Chang is my boyfriend. It makes absolute sense for him to be the one celebrating my birthday with me. Who do you even think you are? We don't share a single drop of blood. At best, I'm just your temporary guardian. Could you please just know your damn place? There is zero chance of anything ever happening between us. Just knowing what's going on in your head makes me feel sick to my stomach." With that brutal send-off, she slammed the door and stormed right back out. She was probably running straight back into Kai Chang's arms. After all, she just said it herself. Kai Chang is her boyfriend. I just sat there, head down, staring blankly at the floor. "Yao Yao, I'm so sorry," I whispered to the empty room. "I swear I'll never do it again, because this is the absolute last birthday I'll ever get to spend with you. God, this room feels incredibly cold right now." A dark, funny thought suddenly popped into my head. Between a high-tech cryo chamber and this depressing, empty room, which one is actually colder? I've been terrified of the cold ever since I was a little kid. During freezing winters, I used to run barefoot, clutching my beat-up stuffed rabbit, just to crawl into bed with Qing Yao. Back then, Qing Yao genuinely adored me. She never would have spat such venomous, icy words at my face. Instead, she'd give me the warmest smile, pull me under the covers, tell me stories, and gently coax me to sleep. Kai Chang just posted a massive update on social media, a picture of him and Qing Yao holding hands. And sitting right on his finger was the heart of the mermaid ring that I personally designed. And he proudly bragged to the entire internet in the caption, "We are officially engaged." At that exact, soul-crushing moment, my phone pinged with an electronic consent form from the Human Cryopreservation Research Team. I couldn't bring myself to sign it immediately. I tried calling Qingyao. She hit decline. I stubbornly dialed her number again and again. After hanging up on me 5 times in a row, the line finally connected. Yuxin, what the hell is it this time? Qingyao's furious voice bit through the speaker. I pressed my trembling lips together and managed to whisper, I just wanted to congratulate you. Qingyao let out a harsh, sarcastic scoff. Well, I really hope you mean that from the bottom of your heart, and that you're genuinely happy for me. I slowly closed my eyes, letting the heavy silence drag out for a second before asking, when is the wedding date? December 12th. Her voice was sharper and deadlier than a freezing winter storm. Those 2 short words felt like 10,000 arrows plunging straight into my chest, because December 12th is my birthday. And it's the exact same day my parents were tragically taken from this world. Those faded, yellowing newspapers still splash that complete nightmare across their front pages. Wealthy socialite snaps, hacks her sleeping husband hundreds of times, then hangs herself. They left behind one lone survivor, their only son. And yeah, that son is me. The kind-hearted Ye family pulled me from the wreckage and took me in. Their daughter, Qing Yao, was just a little older than me. Maybe out of sheer pity for the hell I'd been through, she completely spoiled me rotten. If I wanted something, even the very stars in the sky, she would have found a way to pull them down for me. And the crazy thing is, she actually did give me one. You see, my parents' bloody end left me massively traumatized. I was a total nervous wreck, completely stripped of any sense of security. So, on one quiet, breezy night, Qing Yao pulled me up onto the roof. She pointed right at the brightest star in the pitch-black sky and whispered, Yu Shen, do you see that star? I bought it for you. She handed me a real, official star-naming certificate, gently tapped the tip of my nose, and smiled softly. From now on, that star is all yours. Whenever I can't be around, that star will stay right up there and watch over you for me. I dragged myself over to the window and pulled back the heavy curtains, desperately wanting to catch just one last glimpse of my star. But outside, the sky was choked with thick, black clouds. My star was completely gone. First thing the next morning, the director of the Human Cryopreservation Lab gave me a call. He needed me to come in for a full physical checkup. Is there really any point to that? My smile felt completely hollow and bleak. I'm already dying. What good is a physical gonna do now? Even if you run 10,000 more tests, these cancer cells aren't just gonna magically disappear. Mr. Lin, we must evaluate your exact physical condition to figure out the best freezing method and the perfect time to put you under, the director urged. This is strictly to boost your chances of survival. Please, just work with us. I really had no solid reason to say no, so I drove myself over. After an entire, exhausting day of being poked and prodded, the exam finally wrapped up. Right before I headed out, the director shoved a massive stack of paperwork into my hands. The exact design of the cryopod, along with its future storage facility, are entirely up to you. These are all the customization forms. Take a good look when you have a minute. I gave a weak nod and quietly thanked him. Then, clutching that stack of papers like a lifeline, I made my way home. The living room lights were blazing, my chest instantly tightened, and my heart skipped a beat. Yao Yao was home. God, I was so pathetic. Even after all the cold, cruel ways Qing Yao had treated me lately, I still desperately craved seeing her face. Forcing my racing pulse to settle, I hurried into the living room only to freeze. Standing there, chest completely bare under a loose bathrobe, was Kai Chang. Oh, Yu Shen, you're back. Kai Chang strutted over, acting like my best buddy. Have you eaten dinner yet? Yao Yao's slaving away in the kitchen right now. Just tell me what you're craving, and I'll have her whip it up for you. His smug tone and cocky swagger screamed, master of the house. A sickening wave of bitterness crashed over my heart. I just shook my head. Right as I opened my mouth to say I wasn't hungry, Qing Yao stepped out of the kitchen, carrying the steaming plates of food she'd just cooked. Oh, you're back just in time, Qing Yao stated coldly. Kai Chang and I are officially engaged. Starting today, Kai Chang is the man of this house. From here on out, he calls the shots for absolutely everything around here, big or small. I ducked my head down, my voice coming out completely hollow. I understand. She probably braced herself for a massive tantrum, totally caught off guard by my dead, numb acceptance. In her gorgeous, midnight dark eyes, A rare, fleeting spark of shock flashed by. Whoa, don't be so tense. You're scaring poor Yu Shen, Kai Chang chuckled, flashing a fake smile. Hey, ignore her, man. Let's just go eat. Without waiting for an answer, he yanked me toward the dining room. I completely didn't expect him to just grab me like that. Caught totally off guard, my grip slipped, and my entire stack of top-secret cryo documents spilled all over the floor. Qing Yao's brow furrowed into a sharp frown. She bent down and snatched a cryopod-designed blueprint right off the rug. Glaring at it, her voice dropped to a freezing chill. What the hell is this? Even though sheer panic was ripping through me, I somehow managed to keep my face completely blank. I gave a casual shrug. Just some casket blueprints. It's literally just research material I printed out for my summer design project. Right before break, my professor assigned us an open-ended project. We had to design absolutely any product we wanted. I decided to design a high-tech crystal casket that preserves a body and stops it from rotting. So, I grabbed some reference specs off the internet and printed them. I'm currently a college freshman majoring in product design, so honestly, it was the perfect cover story. But Qing Yao's face still twisted into a dark, furious scowl. Yu Shen, are you completely out of your damn mind? She was the one who had handled my parents' gruesome funeral, too. On the actual day of their burial, I'd locked myself inside a dark closet again, terrified. Qing Yao had found me shaking in the dark, but instead of forcing me to come out, she had just opened the door and squeezed inside to keep me company. Sister Yao Yao, is it just as dark and freezing cold inside a coffin? I had asked her, my eyes bloodshot and brimming with tears. I had a nightmare. Mommy was begging me to climb into the coffin to keep her company. She used to say she was absolutely freezing in that coffin all by herself, terrified of the dark. I remember telling her it was just a nightmare. Qing Yao had held me tight and said, "Don't be scared. You're staying right here. I'll never let anyone take you away from me." I had wrapped my arms tightly around her neck and whispered softly into her ear, "As long as my sister Yao Yao is here, Yushin won't be afraid, even if he's locked inside a coffin." Looking at her icy expression now, I knew Qing Yao definitely still remembered that promise. That's why she completely misunderstood. She actually thought I was using casket designs to secretly confess my lingering feelings for her. "If you don't like it, Yao Yao, I'll just change my entire design concept," I said softly, swallowing my pride. "It's really just a summer assignment. Please, don't be mad at me." Qing Yao just stared back with a stone-cold expression, refusing to say a single word. Instead, it was her fiancé, Kai Cheng, who smirked and played the peacemaker. "Yeah, definitely change it to something else, man. Coffins just carry such terrible vibes. Young guys like you shouldn't have such dark, gloomy thoughts. Try to be a little more upbeat, okay?" Gritting my teeth, I gathered all my scattered sketches from the floor. Then, right in front of Qing Yao's judgmental eyes, I dumped every single document straight into the trash can. Only then did her rigid expression finally soften just a tiny bit. But later that night, after the whole house had fallen dead silent, I secretly crept out of bed to dig my hard work out of the garbage. But just as I was sneaking back to my room, Kai Cheng strolled right out of Qing Yao's bedroom, wearing nothing but a loose bathrobe. His bare chest was covered in fresh, red scratch marks and hickeys. You didn't even need half a brain to figure out exactly what he and Qing Yao had just been doing. I violently forced my eyes away, chanting a desperate mantra in my head. "Don't look. Don't even think about it. He is Qing Yao's fiancé now. Whatever they do behind closed doors is perfectly normal. Yao Yao loves him, and he can give her the happiness she deserves. That has to be more than enough for me." But then, Kai Cheng sneered, "Hey, Yushin, why don't you dare look me in the eye?" His eyes were blazing with pure, toxic provocation, making him look like a completely different person than the nice guy from a few hours ago. "Is it because, even now, you still can't accept the harsh reality that Qing Yao loves me, and not you?" I kept my eyes glued to the floor. "No, I've already accepted it," I muttered. "Oh, stop acting," Kai Cheng spat out with absolute disgust. "Do you really think I'm blind? The way you stare at Qing Yao isn't normal at all. Sure, you call her your sister Yao Yao, and she practically raised you like a mother. Yu Shen, are you some kind of sick pervert?" I bit down on my lower lip so hard I tasted copper, refusing to say a single word. Was I really a pervert? No wonder Sister Yao Yao had instantly looked at me with such total disgust the second she found out about my true feelings. It turns out that in the eyes of normal society, my deep affection for her was nothing but a shameful, pathetic joke. You know, I actually heard the real reason you became a pathetic orphan, Kai Cheng whispered darkly. Your mother completely lost her damn mind, took a butcher knife in the dead of night, and hacked your dad over 100 times until he was sliced to pieces. Kai Cheng backed me into a corner, intentionally pushing all my buttons. Honestly, no wonder you're such a freaking creep. It turns out that kind of sickness is totally hereditary. Your mom was a twisted psycho, and you are exactly the same. I could take him insulting me all night long, but I would never let this bastard drag my dead parents through the mud. Shut your damn mouth, I roared, completely snapping as I lunged forward and grabbed him by the throat. You don't know a single thing about what happened. You have no right to. But before I could even finish, a sharp, bone-chilling voice echoed down the hall. Yushen, what the hell do you think you're doing? Qingyao had woken up from the commotion. She stood in the doorway, her face twisted in absolute fury. Instantly playing the victim, Kai Cheng went limp and collapsed right into Qingyao's arms. Forcing out fake, trembling sobs, he cried, Qingyao, please don't be mad at Yushen. This is all my fault. I never should have come out here like this just to get a glass of water. I really thought he was fast asleep, so I didn't bother putting on a shirt and just threw on my robe. How was I supposed to know I'd bump right into him the second I stepped out of the bedroom? When he saw these intimate marks on my chest, he completely lost it. He called me shameless and said I had zero right to be with you. In just a few breathless sentences, this two-faced snake painted me as some kind of twisted, jealous freak who creeped around in the dead of night to eavesdrop on them, only to violently assault her fiancé out of pure spite. He's lying, I choked out, the corners of my eyes burning red. I never insulted him. He provoked me on purpose by bringing up my parents. He even called my mother a psycho. Back in elementary school, I had been brutally bullied by my classmates over that exact tragedy. They used to circle around me like a pack of wild dogs, hurling heavy trash at my head while chanting that I was just a little psycho born from a crazy murderer. Back then, it was Qingyao who had fiercely stepped in to save me. I prayed that my sister Yao Yao would know I'd never ever lie about something this traumatic, because it was a deep, agonizing scar on my very soul. What psycho? Yushen. What on earth are you talking about? Kai Cheng suddenly put on a perfectly bewildered expression. What actually happened to your parents? I only know your parents passed away when you were super young. I swear I don't know anything else. Qingyao gently comforted Kai Cheng with a few soft words, but when she turned her head to look at me, her eyes were absolutely ice cold. Yushen, I really didn't expect that just to drag Kai Cheng's name through the mud, you'd stoop so low. The look she gave me was heavy with total, crushing disappointment. He doesn't know a thing. I have never once spoken to him about your family background. Just because you didn't tell him doesn't mean he couldn't just look it up online himself. I argued back, my chest tight with a deep sense of injustice. It's not like that stuff is impossible to find. Enough. Without even waiting for me to finish, Qingyao completely shut me down with a freezing tone. Do you think everyone is as wicked and twisted as you are? Always manipulating the facts and stirring up trouble? I froze, completely stunned. Wicked? Twisted? Me? A manipulator? Is this really how Sister Yao Yao sees me after all these years? In that heartbreaking moment, any kind of explanation felt completely pointless. Apologize to Kai Cheng. Right now, she commanded, her face like a sheet of frost. I bit my lip hard and stayed completely silent. There was no way in hell I was going to apologize. I wasn't the one in the wrong here. The only person who truly needed to apologize was that two-faced snake, Kai Cheng. I really have spoiled you completely rotten. Her voice dropped another 10 degrees, but this time, I am not letting you off the hook. Starting today, you are not allowed to take a single step out of your bedroom. You can stay in there and seriously reflect on your actions. When you've finally figured things out and are actually willing to apologize, only then can you come out. Ever since we were just little kids, I was always the one she favored and protected with her life, but today, she was throwing me away for another man. Locked away in my dark room, I curled up on the bed, hugging my knees tight and shrinking myself into a tiny, miserable ball. Even wrapped up, I still felt so unbelievably cold. But right then, my phone suddenly vibrated. It was a message from the director of the cryopreservation research team. Mr. Lin, your physical examination report is officially out. After our team's careful review, your optimal window for cryopreservation is next month, between the 7th and the 21st. Based on your personal preference, you can choose any specific day within that time frame to be frozen. Next month, that means December. My chest flared with another sharp, suffocating throb of pain. Next month, I just sat there, totally silent in the pitch-black room for a very long time. Finally, with violently trembling hands, I typed out the exact date I had chosen. December 12th. December 12th, my birthday. And incredibly, it was also the exact day Sister Yao Yao and Kai Chang were getting married. I figured it was best I just didn't show up to their wedding. She was already completely sick of the sight of me anyway. If I went, I'd just be a massive eyesore to them. It was better to just fade away quietly on my own, without ever bothering anyone again. December was coming up fast. I practically had no time left. There were still so many things I needed to take care of, and I wasn't about to waste my final, precious days locked up in solitary confinement like a prisoner. And so, the proud underdog finally swallowed his pride and bowed his head. I dragged myself over to find her, biting my lip hard as I forced myself to admit defeat. Sister Yao Yao, I've thought it through. It was all my fault. I am so sorry. Yet, she just stood there, her face as freezing and unreadable as ever. The gaze she locked onto me no longer held a single trace of that warm, doting care she used to give me. The person you need to apologize to isn't me. It's Kai Chang. I bit my lower lip so hard it actually started to bleed, swallowing that harsh, metallic taste of blood. A bleak realization crushed my heart. She had already given all her warmth and love to another man. Fine, I'll apologize to him. My emotions were spiraling so out of control that my entire body was practically vibrating. I am sorry, brother-in-law. That single word made her completely freeze in her tracks. Her dark pupils actually quivered for a split second. For a brief, shining moment, she couldn't even believe what she had just heard coming out of my mouth. Can I go now, Sister Yao Yao? I chuckled. A totally hollow, self-destructive laugh. But even as I forced that laugh out, the rims of my eyes burned bright red. Are you finally satisfied now? She really should have felt satisfied, but for some weird reason, watching me completely break down to admit my mistake, and hearing me actually call him brother-in-law, made her feel incredibly uneasy and twisted up inside. She quickly tore her eyes away, not daring to look at my broken expression for even a second longer, and replied with absolute ice. Starting today, you are moving out of here and into the downstairs bedroom. I was totally shell-shocked, but it hit me like a truck just seconds later. Oh my God, she actually believed his twisted lies. Sister Yao Yao, do you honestly look at me and see some kind of twisted creep who would hide outside your bedroom door, just to eavesdrop on you getting intimate with another man? To think the person I trusted most saw me as total garbage. That absolute freezing reality violently woke me up from whatever hope I had left. The whole room started spinning around me, and I had to fight back the overwhelming urge to just pass out right there, but I absolutely refused to collapse in front of her. I slammed my back against the wall behind me, gritting my teeth hard to keep myself standing tall. Fine. If Sister Yao Yao wants me to move downstairs like some exiled dog, then I'll move. It didn't matter anyway. I barely had any days left to live. Later that evening, I silently packed up and drove straight back to the cryopreservation lab. I had to sit down with the director and hash out exactly where they'd stash my cryopod after I was put on ice. I saw in the brochures that you guys actually store these things at the bottom of the ocean. Is that for real? I asked. Absolutely, the director replied. To be completely honest with you, the vast majority of our storage units are located right on the seabed. He explained that keeping these pods hundreds of degrees below zero on land takes an absolutely massive amount of electricity. But if we sink them down to the ocean floor, the energy drain drops to practically nothing, since the deep sea is naturally freezing cold anyway. That's perfect, I smiled warmly. I want my pod at the very bottom of the sea. May I ask why? He asked. My smile didn't waver. Because the stars can't reach down there. You see, that star was a gift from Yao Yao. My dear sister Yao Yao used to tell me that no matter where I went in this world, that star would follow me, always watching over me on her behalf. But things change. Yao Yao doesn't love me anymore, and I'm literally dying. Having it watch over a worthless corpse nobody cares about? That's just too damn pathetic. So, I made up my mind to set her little star free. I'd sink to the dark bottom of the ocean where the star couldn't see me, fading away quietly without causing a fuss. Later that day, just to avoid bumping into Kai Cheng, I dragged my feet and purposely didn't head home until it was pitch black outside. But when I finally pulled up, the entire villa was lit up like a Christmas tree. Yao Yao was sitting dead center in the living room, a storm brewing on her face, just waiting for me. Yao Yao, what's wrong? I put on a totally clueless expression, having zero idea what I had supposedly screwed up this time. I mean, I had literally stayed out of her hair all day long, yet Yao Yao slammed a stack of papers down right in front of me, barely keeping a lid on her fury. Yu Shen, look at me. What the hell is this? I glanced down, and right there, mixed into the papers scattered across the floor, was my own terminal cancer diagnosis. Why are you going through my private stuff? I panicked instantly, completely terrified to answer her question, desperately trying to flip the script. I'm 18 years old now. You can't just barge into my room and go digging through my personal things whenever you feel like it. Absolutely livid, Yao Yao grabbed her teacup and slammed it down onto the table. Is that seriously the point right now? The cup shattered hard against the ground with a heavy, sharp crack, making me physically flinch in fear. Yu Shen, hey now, you're completely misunderstanding your sister. Right at that explosive moment, that two-faced snake Kai Cheng stepped in, pretending to play the peacemaker. She didn't snoop in your room. This is on me, actually. I didn't pack a change of clothes. He paused for a couple of seconds, putting on an incredibly fake show of guilt before continuing his little story. I really had nothing clean to wear, so I had absolutely no choice but to check your room, hoping to borrow some old clothes you didn't need anymore just for a quick emergency. And man, who would have thought that by total, pure accident, I'd spot this cancer diagnosis sitting right out on your desk. He was lying through his teeth. The very first day I got that report, I had locked it up tight in a drawer. But to hear Kai Cheng tell it, you'd think I had deliberately left my cancer test out on display in broad daylight, just begging for someone to stumble on it. Yu Shen, man, you're so incredibly young. How could you possibly have cancer? Kai Cheng dramatically clutched his chest, looking like the picture of calm, heartbreaking sorrow. Come on, be straight with your brother-in-law. Is this medical report actually real, or is this just another one of your sick little pranks? I slowly turned my head to look at Yao Yao, and it suddenly hit me like a truck in the depths of her eyes. The sheer disgust and anger completely wiped out any trace of concern. There was zero doubt in my mind. Before I even walked through the door, Kai Cheng had already dripped plenty of poison into her ear. So, my precious sister Yao Yao didn't believe for a single second that I was dying. She just thought I was faking a terminal illness to cry for attention. I thought to myself, you know what, that's fine. At least my secret dies with me. Yeah, it's a prank, I muttered softly. I was just messing around with a buddy. I really didn't expect you guys to snoop around and find it. The very second those words left my mouth, Yao Yao, who had been sitting there glaring daggers at me, shot up from the sofa. Get up. We are going to the hospital right now for a full scan. We'll see exactly how much of a prank this is once the doctors look at you. Yao Yao, please, I really don't want to go. I pushed back weakly, but she just hit me with a sharp, ice-cold glare. Just that one singular look crushed whatever tiny bit of hope I had left. I knew her too well. There was absolutely no escaping this hospital trip tonight. By the time we finally rolled up to the clinic, it was dead past midnight. Normally, not a single department outside of the ER would even look at a patient at this ridiculous hour. The specialty wards are strictly off-limits in the middle of the night. But Yao Yao had already rung up the hospital director on the way over, and there was no way in hell he was going to cross a woman with that kind of terrifying influence. So, he rushed a whole team of doctors in to give me the most intense, full-body physical examination imaginable, complete with a cancer screening. For those agonizing 2 hours, every single minute and second felt like absolute torture. Lying there, I couldn't help but wonder. Sister Yao Yao, if you knew I was actually about to die, would you even shed a tear for me? Or am I nothing more than a toxic burden to you now? Just some twisted, hopelessly manipulative kid you are forced to deal with. Deep down, She probably wanted to get rid of me a long time ago. I honestly lost track of how long I suffered in that room, but the torment finally came to an end. The doctor stepped out, gripping the diagnostic report in his hands. Miss Ye, the test results are finally out. Mr. Lin is in remarkably good health. There is absolutely no trace of cancer. I was stunned. After suffering through such a long, painful ordeal, I never expected this to be the final result. I snapped my head around and glared straight at Kai Chong. Without a second thought, I knew this had to be his dirty work behind the scenes. Oh, that is just wonderful. Kai Chong let out a dramatic, long sigh of relief, acting as though a massive weight had just been lifted from his shoulders. Thank goodness, it really was just a silly prank. Since Yushen is perfectly fine, Qing Yao and I can finally put our minds at ease. Qing Yao, however, stood frozen, not saying a single word. She gave me a long, piercing look. Suddenly, she seemed to notice that my face was terrifyingly pale, looking completely drained of blood. The boy she had practically raised seemed to be slowly withering away right in front of her eyes. However, although he doesn't have cancer, the doctor continued, according to the test results, Mr. Lin's body is currently extremely weak, and he is suffering from severe malnutrition. As if reading the growing doubts in Qing Yao's eyes, the doctor calmly added one more damning detail. Has he been crash dieting to lose weight recently? It is normal for a young man to want a good physique, but crash dieting is highly unadvisable, especially in Mr. Lin's case. It has already done severe damage to his overall physical health. Just look at how ghastly pale his face is right now. It is no wonder your sister mistakenly thought you were battling cancer. Qing Yao's face instantly turned completely dark, her expression twisting into something ugly. It was true that lately, I hadn't been eating properly. But that was only natural. After all, I was genuinely sick, and Sister Yao Yao had been giving me the cold shoulder, treating me with absolute disgust. With all that heartbreak, how could I possibly have any appetite? But in Qing Yao's eyes, the doctor's words painted a completely different, manipulative picture. Just to fake a terminal illness and deceive me. You would actually ruin your own body like this? The look she shot me was cold enough to freeze over the scorching midsummer sun. What exactly are you trying to accomplish here? Trying to make me feel sorry for you, hoping I will drop everything to be with you? Yushen, can you please just wake up? I didn't. Hot tears began falling from my eyes uncontrollably. Even though I knew she wouldn't believe a single word, I still choked back sobs and tried my best to defend myself. I really didn't, but my desperate denial, stacked against their so-called ironclad medical evidence, sounded incredibly weak and pathetic. Qing Yao looked down at me with absolute crushing disappointment. How on earth did I raise you to become someone like this? In that instant, I felt as if 10,000 arrows were violently piercing straight through my heart. Without another word, Qing Yao abandoned me at the hospital all by myself, linking arms with Kai Chong as they walked away together. For the entire following week, she completely iced me out. She didn't speak a single word to me again. I tried several times to bridge the gap and ease the awful tension between us, but every single attempt ended in bitter failure. That is, until the very day before Qing Yao and Kai Chong were scheduled to hold their grand wedding. Sister Yao Yao, you are getting married tomorrow. Are you still refusing to speak to me? I lowered my gaze, my thick eyelashes casting heavy, sad shadows over my tired eyes. My expression was filled with nothing but profound, hopeless sorrow. Yet, Qing Yao's gaze remained incredibly cold and distant. Have you finally given up your little act? She asked. With bloodshot eyes, I slowly nodded. Yes, I've given up. I swear I am not lying to you this time. And this time, I really wasn't lying. Because my time was up, and I was about to die very, very soon. Once a person is dead, their broken heart should finally die along with them, right? Qing Yao glanced at my red, swollen eyes, clearly not believing a single word that came out of my mouth. But despite her anger, her heart softened just a tiny bit. After all, I was still the boy she had watched grow up. How could she truly bear to ignore me forever? Come to my wedding with Kai Chong tomorrow. Give us your sincere blessings in front of everyone, and I will forgive you. Qing Yao warned me coldly. Don't play any more of your tricks. I am definitely marrying Kai Chong. No matter how much of a fuss you make, you cannot change this outcome. I kept my eyes fixed firmly on the floor. I won't make a fuss, I promise. Seeing me so uncharacteristically obedient and calm actually made her heart ache slightly. and a sudden, inexplicable surge of frustrated irritation completely consumed her. Qingyao sharply looked away, not daring to look at my pale face anymore. But right then, I spoke up again, in a quiet voice. "Sister Yao, Yao, I will attend your wedding, sister. But could you please just have one last meal with me after the ceremony is over? Just share one simple meal with me. The wedding ceremony itself would normally be completely finished before 12 noon anyway. Tomorrow is my birthday. In the past, you always spent my birthdays with me. For as long as I can remember, you were always the one who stayed by my side for every single birthday. Look, I know asking this on your wedding day is incredibly selfish, but I swear, I won't ruin your ceremony. I promise, I won't disrupt your wedding. I'll wait until all the fancy formalities are completely wrapped up. All I'm asking is for you to drop by afterward, share one single bite of cake with me, and just say, 'Happy birthday.' That's it. That's all I need to be happy." Faced with such a pathetic, humble plea, Qingyao just couldn't bring herself to shoot me down. So, she stiffly managed to force out a single word. "Okay." I barely slept a wink that entire night. I just lay there staring at the ceiling until dawn broke, then forced myself to get dressed to attend the love of my life's wedding. The venue was absolutely buzzing, packed to the brim with every high society elite and wealthy socialite who wanted to rub elbows and show their support. The groom, Kai Cheng, was strutting around in a custom white haute couture suit, gripping Qingyao's waist with this sickening look of absolute triumph and pure bliss. And then there was Qingyao in her wedding dress. Sister Yao Yao looked absolutely flawless, elegant, noble, and so utterly breathtaking it physically hurt to look at her. Time has always played favorites with her, never leaving a single flaw on her perfect face. Even though 13 long years have passed, she looked exactly like that angel who first pulled a terrified me out of that dark closet, still just as beautiful, still just as fiercely captivating. My eyes were totally glued to her. I stood there, staring like a lovesick fool for a few moments, before finally gathering the guts to step forward and offer my carefully wrapped wedding gift with both hands. "Sister Yao Yao, congratulations on your wedding." I wished her the absolute best from the very bottom of my shattered heart, genuinely praying for her lifelong happiness and health. Qingyao took the box. She stared deeply into my eyes, without saying a single word. But deep within those eyes, I swore I saw a frantic surge of dark, intense emotions, secrets she was desperately fighting to keep buried forever. But, idiot that I am, I completely missed it. Once the gift was out of my hands, I quietly slipped away from the glamorous spectacle. Call me a total coward if you want, but I seriously didn't have the guts to stand there and watch the woman I loved pledge her life to Kai Cheng. I'm sorry. I'm just not that fiercely open-minded. I want nothing but the world for Sister Yao Yao, but I will never, ever give that smug jerk my blessing. Escaping the wedding, my first stop was the gloomy cemetery. I needed to lay down one final, fresh bouquet of flowers for my dead parents. "I think I finally get it now," I whispered. "I finally understand why you both chose to end it all. Just existing. It hurts so damn much. Why didn't you just take me with you back then, Mom? You despised Dad with every fiber of your being, yet you still took him along for the ride. You always swore I was the one you loved most. But you left me here all alone to rot. This world is so massive, yet there's not a single square inch where I actually belong." A crushing wave of absolute, soul-sucking loneliness washed over me right then. It hit me that from the very beginning to this bitter end, not a single person had ever firmly chosen me. No one loved me until death do us part. No one refused to give up on me, not even my own mother. Forget it, Mom. Let's be real. You probably didn't love me all that much anyway. Honestly, Sister Yao Yao has already done more than enough for me. If your spirits can somehow hear me up there in heaven, please, don't bother watching over me anymore. Protect her instead. After pouring my heart out, I leaned down, pressed a cold kiss to their stone monument, turned on my heel, and walked away without looking back. I dragged myself to the fancy restaurant all by myself, sitting there like a loyal dog, patiently waiting for Sister Yao Yao to show up and spend my very last birthday with me. Massive fireworks were exploding in the distant sky. Even from miles away, you could clearly read the giant, glowing characters bursting in the clouds, wishing Ye Qing Yao and Kai Cheng a lifetime of wedded bliss. Daytime fireworks? That's just obscenely extravagant. Extravagant, sure, but undeniably romantic. Sister Yao Yao is exactly the kind of fierce woman who would ruthlessly spoil the person she loves to death. Tragically, that lucky person has never been me. The agonizing minutes ticked by, one by one. The distant wedding venue was still roaring with lively energy. Even the random diners in my restaurant wouldn't shut up about it, gossiping passionately, gushing over how Kai Cheng's designer suit was supposedly worth hundreds of millions, how every single diamond encrusted on it was flawlessly real, and how insanely deep Ye Qing Yao's devotion to Kai Cheng ran. They even talked about how she dropped a massive fortune to fly in his favorite pop star for a live private concert. I just sat there, listening in total silence. The world around me was so wildly loud and bustling, yet I was trapped in this bubble of utter, lonely stillness. Finally, the clock dragged its way to 3 p.m. Sister Yao Yao should be getting here any minute now, right? 4 p.m. The promised time had come and gone. Why wasn't she here yet? Did some snobby guest delay her? By 5 p.m., the grand wedding had definitely wrapped up. The restaurant chatter had completely moved on, but there was still zero sign of Ye Qing Yao. Suddenly, my phone vibrated in my pocket. A blinding push notification flashed right onto the screen. Kai Cheng had just posted an update. The wedding is officially over. Let the honeymoon begin. First stop on our romantic getaway. Provence. Taking off right now. Directly below the bragging text was a crisp photo showing 2 flight tickets stacked neatly together. The shiny one on top had Kai Cheng's name printed on it. It didn't take a genius to figure out exactly who the one underneath belonged to. The bold departure time stamped on the ticket? Exactly 5:03 p.m. In that crushing, suffocating moment, reality finally hit me. Sister Yao Yao was never coming. The pathetic little birthday cake on my table had already started melting into a sad puddle. I picked up a slice of the ruined cake, and like a completely lifeless puppet, I mechanically shoved it into my mouth. So, why on earth does this sweet frosting taste so bitterly salty? The birthday cake tasted like absolute ash. Still, I choked down every last agonizing bite, slapped my cash onto the table, and walked out without looking back. Happy miserable birthday to me, Yushen. Honestly, I just pray that when the end finally comes, it won't hurt even a little bit. That was the pathetic little birthday blessing I whispered to myself. I gunned the engine and drove straight to the underground cryopreservation lab. Inside the freezing, sterile facility, the medical staff were already perfectly in position, quietly standing by and waiting for my arrival. No one cared enough to celebrate my birthday, but at least someone showed up to see me off to my death, even if it was just a room full of strangers in scrubs. I hesitated for a split second, then pulled a crumpled suicide note from my bag, holding it out to the head director of the cryopreservation team. If anyone actually bothers to come looking for me, please just hand them this note. But if nobody comes, just toss it in the trash. It's not like I wrote anything world-shattering in there anyway. The director carefully took the letter from my hand. Don't worry, I will keep it completely safe. I gave a final nod, turned around, and took slow, heavy steps toward the high-tech casket waiting for me. I climbed inside and lay down. It felt just like being a helpless kid again. Whenever my parents viciously screamed at each other, I would hide deep inside my closet. That dark, cramped space always made me feel ridiculously safe. This cruel world is just way too massive and hopelessly complicated. I am completely done trying to cope with it. So, I am crawling right back into my safe little closet once again. Everything is completely set. Go ahead and begin lowering the temperature. With that one sharp command from the director, a biting, freezing cold violently rushed over my body, dragging me into the darkness. Goodbye forever, Sister Yao Yao. I truly hope you had a beautiful wedding. Exactly 1 week later, Ye Qing Yao and Kai Cheng returned to her luxurious villa together. The massive house was dead silent. Ye Qing Yao instinctively furrowed her brows. A weird, sinking feeling hit her, warning her that something was incredibly wrong. It didn't take long for her to realize what it was. Every single trace of my existence was completely gone. In the old days, whenever she got home from a grueling business trip, I would sprint to the door, throw my arms around her, and whine like a total kid, "Sister Yao Yao, what took you so incredibly long? I missed you to death." But today, stepping into the grand foyer, she was met with absolute emptiness. No one was there to greet her. A flash of fiery annoyance flared up inside Ye Qingyao's chest, but remembering that she had mercilessly stood me up before she left, she forcefully shoved that nameless irritation right back down. Trying to play it cool, she called out my name, fully expecting to coax me out of hiding. She had even brought back a fancy souvenir to smooth things over and apologize. Yet, the sprawling villa remained totally silent, offering her absolutely zero response. "Why is that brat ignoring us and not saying anything?" Kai Cheng asked, flashing a sickeningly sweet smile. "Do you think he is still holding a grudge against you?" To be fair, things did happen so insanely fast back then. You didn't even stick around until our wedding ceremony was over. You just bolted and flew straight to Europe in a massive panic. Afterward, I was genuinely worried your assistant wouldn't explain the situation properly. So, I took it upon myself to track Yushin down and carefully explain exactly why you left him hanging. But he, Kai Cheng, purposely trailed off, intentionally leaving his sentence dangling in the air. He cleverly let Ye Qingyao fill in the ugly blanks with her own wild imagination. Predictably, Ye Qingyao's explosive anger was instantly ignited. I have seriously spoiled that ungrateful brat until he thinks he can act completely lawless. Hey, calm down. It is perfectly fine. That day was Yushen's big birthday, after all. It is totally normal for him to throw a bitter little temper tantrum after you ditched him like that. Kai Cheng slowly walked up beside Ye Qingyao, gently feeding her his fake advice. "Let me just give Yushen a quick call and tell him to come home. Please, don't be angry with him anymore. We are all family here, and peaceful harmony brings prosperity." On the surface, Kai Cheng sounded like an absolute saint sticking up for me. But in harsh reality, the two-faced snake was weaponizing his own fake maturity, just to highlight how completely unreasonable and dramatic I was supposedly being. After all, for the absolute sake of her career, Ye Qingyao had shamelessly abandoned him, her actual groom, standing completely alone at their very own wedding venue. Yet this guy did not make a single fuss. He even called her to gently remind Ye Qingyao to take care of her fragile health and not push herself into the ground. Meanwhile, I had merely been stood up on my stupid birthday, and here I was, acting like the sky was falling and making a gigantic scene out of it. Placed side by side like that, it was painfully obvious which way the heavy scale in Ye Qingyao's cold heart was going to tilt. Kai Cheng whipped out his phone, putting on a great show of dialing my number. Then, he let out a perfectly timed, highly dramatic gasp. Playing the role of a totally bewildered nice guy, he muttered, "Wait, did I dial it wrong? Why is the automated system telling me that this number simply does not exist? I clearly saved Yushin's contact number before, and it always went through perfectly fine whenever I called him. How on earth did it suddenly become a permanently disconnected number?" At those very words, a sudden, suffocating wave of dread crashed over Ye Qingyao's heart. Her hands shaking, she frantically whipped her own phone from her pocket and desperately dialed my number. But a split second later, exactly like her darling groom, all she heard was the dead, robotic voice of an automated customer service operator. "Hello, the number you have dialed is currently out of service. From start to finish, I had only ever had one phone number, and now, it was gone forever." Staring blankly at his screen, Kai Cheng's face shifted, as if he finally realized a terrifying truth. Feigning a look of deep concern, he secretly poured gasoline on the fire, whispering, "Qingyao, you don't think Yushen ran away from home just because he threw a little fit, do you?" Ye Qingyao's expression instantly darkened into a deadly scowl. She stormed straight toward my bedroom and kicked the door open with a deafening crash. But the room, once so warm and full of life, was completely empty. Everything was just gone. All the gifts she'd ever bought me, the stuffed rabbit I hugged to sleep every single night, my entire plushie collection wiped out without a trace. Even the bed sheets and pillows were stripped clean, leaving nothing but the cold, bare mattress staring right back at her. Kai Cheng, trailing right behind her, let out a fake gasp. "Wait, where is all of Yushin's stuff? Why is the room totally empty? Did he actually run away?" Guided perfectly by his little performance, Qingyao swallowed the bait whole, assuming I was just throwing some petty tantrum and storming out of the house. In a split second, the blazing fury in her chest erupted. He seriously ran away over something so stupid? I've spoiled him way too much. Seeing her absolutely livid, Kai Cheng felt a twisted thrill of victory. Yet on the surface, he played the part of the incredibly worried friend. Looking totally frantic, he sighed. Yushen is just a kid. How could he act so impulsively? Qingyao, he probably hasn't gotten far. You need to send your men to find him right away. The world is crazy right now. It is way too dangerous for a young boy to be wandering the streets all alone. Qingyao's face grew even colder. A young boy? He's already 18. And in this country, 18 makes you a full-grown adult. An adult needs to take responsibility for his own actions. Yet here he is, acting just as horribly spoiled as ever, without a single ounce of maturity. The very thought of it took the rage she was desperately trying to suppress and poured gasoline all over it. With eyes like ice, she snapped, "If he doesn't want to be in this house, then let him rot outside. Pass down my orders, nobody is allowed to go looking for him." Those words made Kai Cheng internally scream with joy. This was absolutely perfect. He had finally pushed out that pathetic eyesore. With Yushen out of the picture, he was just one tiny step away from rightfully becoming Qingyao's one and only partner. But, no matter how brutal her words were, Qingyao's heart still ached. After all, I was the boy she had raised with her very own hands, obsessively protecting me from childhood all the way to adulthood. She used to be utterly terrified of me suffering even the slightest bit of pain. Sure, she had spoiled her precious little Rose into becoming totally reckless, but as my legal guardian, she couldn't just throw me away. More importantly, what if something terrible actually happened to me out there? She knew that if I got hurt, she would never forgive herself for the rest of her life. So, the very next morning after her little outburst, she secretly ordered her men to hunt me down. But even as more and more search teams deployed, my whereabouts remained a complete ghost story. Boss, I've reached out to every single one of Master Yushin's classmates, from kindergarten all the way to college. They all swore that throughout this entire summer break, he hasn't contacted a single soul, and nobody has seen him. Boss, I personally searched all of his favorite hangouts, but he wasn't at a single one of them. Ma'am, my investigation shows that exactly 1 week ago, Master Yushin donated everything he owned to the Sunshine Orphanage. I saw his entire plushie collection there, along with all of his clothes and designer bags. Should we confiscate the items? Her men returned one by one, but all they brought back was dead-end garbage. My whereabouts remained an absolute mystery. They didn't have a single useful lead, until Qingyao's head assistant burst into the room with bombshell news. Boss, the private investigator just confirmed. Master Yushin's residency registration has been permanently canceled. Qingyao's entire body went rigid. What did you just say? Driving like a maniac, she rushed straight to the police station. She tracked down the exact clerk who processed my file and slammed her hands on his desk, utterly unhinged with rage. Why did you cancel Yushen's residency? Who the hell gave you the authorization to erase him? He is still alive. What right do you have to wipe him from the system? The clerk was scared out of his mind, practically shaking as he tried to keep his cool. Ma'am, please, you need to calm down. If there's been a mistake, let's just sit down and talk it through. I will do everything in my power to answer your questions. Terrified that her boss was about to commit a felony, the assistant quickly jumped in to intervene. I am so sorry to bother you, but we're Yushen's family. We just got this notice claiming you canceled his residency registration, but our boy is still alive. How on earth could his registration just be wiped out? Please, you have to look into this and tell us what's really going on. A look of sudden realization washed over the clerk's face. Oh, Yushen. Yes, I remember him. He's such an exceptionally gorgeous young man, and he spoke so softly. Honestly, he left a really deep impression on me. About 10 days ago, he came into our office to apply for a registration cancellation, saying he had terminal cancer and didn't have much time left. Now, under normal circumstances, people only have their families come in to handle the paperwork after they pass away. For him to just walk in and cancel his own registration, that obviously goes completely against proper protocol. So, I turned him down. I refused to process the cancellation. The assistant stood there, looking completely stunned. Then why did we get a notice saying Master Yushen's registration has already been wiped? Please, let me finish, the clerk urged. At that time, it really wasn't processed. But a few days later, someone from a cryopreservation research facility showed up, saying they needed to handle Yushen's cancellation procedures. This research team has handled similar procedures here before. As for the exact, nitty-gritty details, I'm not entirely sure myself. It sounds like they freeze patients with terminal illnesses, hoping to thaw them out hundreds of years in the future. Anyway, the young man has already been frozen. Even if he isn't technically dead, he'll be waiting several centuries to wake up, to stop scammers from stealing their identities right after the team freezes a patient. They come straight to our office to process a temporary registration cancellation for the frozen subjects. If these frozen patients somehow get a chance to wake up down the line, they can always come back to restore their residency. Everything felt exactly like a twisted, surreal dream. When Ye Qingyao finally stumbled back from the police station, her entire mind was trapped in an absolute daze. She didn't even know how she managed to walk home. She just couldn't wrap her head around how everything had spiraled out of control like this. It made no sense. When she left just 1 week ago, everything was perfectly, completely fine. Yu Shen had even acted so sweet, begging her to stay and spend his birthday with him. How could everything shatter so completely after just one single week? If she had known, if she had only known that it might be the absolute last birthday she'd ever spend with him, then no matter what it took, she would never, ever have broken her promise. Qingyao, babe, what's wrong? Kai Cheng strolled out of the bedroom in a sleek black bathrobe, sliding right up to Ye Qingyao's side. You look so pale. Are you seriously still stressing over Yu Shen? Didn't you say it yourself? Yu Shen is already 18 years old, a grown adult. We can't keep babying him forever. So, just let it go. Maybe he's just throwing a little tantrum, taking a trip with some buddies to clear his head. As Kai Cheng murmured those words, he reached out, smoothly wrapping his arms around Ye Qingyao's neck. Yu Shen, that absolute thorn in his side, was finally gone. Now, he was just one tiny step away from locking down his throne as the master of the Ye family. And that final step? Sleeping with Ye Qingyao. He wanted to use this perfect window while Yu Shen was gone to utterly claim her, making her his woman once and for all. Fueled by that greedy thought, Kai Cheng whispered sweet comforts, leaning his body dangerously close to hers. Qingyao, you're way too tense. Here, let me help you relax. With a smirk, he trailed his hand down toward her body. But before his fingers could even brush the woman he had been dying to claim, Ye Qingyao suddenly snapped. She lunged, violently clamping her hand around his throat. Kai Cheng was choked so viciously that his airway instantly crushed shut. He thrashed around, gasping out, Qingyao, let go. But Ye Qingyao had absolutely zero intention of showing him mercy. Instead, with deadly calm, she squeezed her grip even tighter. Yu Shen had cancer. The look in the woman's eyes was absolute murder, colder than a freezing winter blizzard. So tell me, why, on that exact night I dragged him to the hospital for a checkup, did the doctor swear Yu Shen was perfectly fine? Kai Cheng's expression visibly cracked, a flash of panicked guilt tearing through his eyes. He scrambled to put his mask back on, forcing a calm tone as he stammered, I don't know. I don't even know who that doctor is. Maybe the test was just wrong. It was just a damn shame that his Oscar-worthy acting couldn't fool Ye Qingyao anymore. Oh, is that so? Ye Qingyao's eyes narrowed into lethal slits. Her glare was like a rusty knife, slowly carving into Kai Cheng's skin. Then why did my guy just find out through his investigation that the very same doctor who examined Yu Shen just so happens to be your own half-brother? Kai Cheng's face instantly drained, turning as stark white as a sheet of paper. In his wildest dreams, he never saw it coming. He never imagined that Ye Qingyao would actually dig up his darkest secret. Kai Cheng was a bastard child. Yeah, you heard that right. That night, when Qingyao dragged Yu Shen to the hospital for his checkup, the very hospital they walked into was secretly owned by Kai Cheng's own flesh and blood, his father. But the old man had never once acknowledged having a son like Kai Cheng. To the rest of the world, his identity didn't even exist. So, when Ye Qingyao first hired Kai Cheng to play the role of her fake boyfriend, she had her people look into him. But it was just a quick background check. They barely scratched the surface. At first, she was completely in the dark about his shady ties to that exact hospital. Now, the ugly truth was finally staring her in the face. But tragically, the damage was already done. With his massive lie ripped wide open, Kai Cheng finally dropped his stubborn, tough guy act. He slammed his knees into the floor, begging, Qingyao, I messed up. But you have to believe me. I never wanted to hurt Yu Shen. This whole sick, twisted game, it was my dad's idea. He just wanted to use me to get his hands on your power. He forced me to set up this whole trap to frame him. I swear, I fought back at first. I tried to talk him out of it. But my dad warned me about Yu Shen. He said the way that kid looks at you, it isn't innocent. He looks at you like a man looks at a woman. My dad said that if you actually believed Yu Shen was dying of cancer, your heart would break, and you'd absolutely give yourself to him out of pity. And if that happened, I'd lose my chance forever. Qing Yao, I know I did terrible things, but I only did it because I'm so damn deeply in love with you. Every single second we spent together, I was falling completely, obsessively in love with you. I can't just be your fake lover anymore. I want this to be real. I want to stand by your side and be your man. His desperation boiling over, Kai Cheng lunged at her. Qing Yao, I love you. I want you so bad. Just give yourself to me. Please, I really love you. I'll do literally anything, as long as you let me stay with you. But his pathetic, delusional rant was met with a brutal, bone-crushing kick. Eyes filled with pure, unadulterated disgust, Ye Qingyao booted the lunging Kai Cheng right in the chest, sending him crashing to the floor. Kai Cheng, save your breath, she spat. Nothing you say means a damn thing to me anymore. Whether this sick little stunt was your brilliant idea or your father's, I don't care. As of today, your father is done being the director of Street Mary's hospital. And your half-brother? Consider his medical license completely revoked. You aren't getting a single penny out of me. And I swear to you, as long as there is breath in my lungs, nobody in your entire family will ever find a decent job in this country again. Ye Qingyao wasn't stupid. She knew perfectly well that this leech didn't love her at all. The only things he actually loved were her fat bank account and her unmatched power. He was terrified of being a nameless, ordinary nobody. He just wanted to crawl up the social ladder and strike it rich. He wanted to marry into untouchable wealth and play the big shot. He was drooling over a life of endless luxury, completely desperate to sink his teeth into the glamorous lifestyle of the elite. For a pathetic, vain little man like him, killing him was way too easy. The ultimate punishment was to strip away every last penny, trapping him at the very absolute bottom of society forever, doomed to watch the high life from the gutters, never getting what he wanted. Hearing Ye Qingyao's icy words, Kai Cheng instantly crumpled to the floor. Utter, suffocating despair washed over his face. Ye Qingyao, do you actually think I'm the one who drove Yu Shen away? No, you're so wrong. I just added a little fuel to the fire. The one who truly broke his heart and pushed him away was you. With nothing left to lose, Kai Cheng totally snapped, completely losing his mind. Like a cornered rat, he pointed a shaking finger right at Ye Qingyao, screaming curses at her. I'm just a nobody, a total stranger. Yu Shen didn't give a flying damn about anything I said or anything I did. I could have held a megaphone to his ear every single day, screaming that his precious sister didn't love him, spitting out venomous words like, "She hates you? Just get lost?" Honestly, that would have been completely useless. Our guy wouldn't have felt a single ounce of pain just from hearing those empty threats, and there is absolutely no way he would have packed his bags and run away from home over it. No, the crushing reality that truly shattered his heart and drove him to absolute despair was your own twisted actions. You were the one who treated him like absolute garbage. You literally bought me just to trigger him, and you even threw that massive, fake-ass wedding just to rub it in. Ye Qingyao, you're going to regret this for the rest of your life. You keep running your mouth, claiming you don't love Yu Shen. But let's be real. You fell madly in love with him a long time ago, didn't you? You were just too much of a coward to admit it because of your little sister role. Ye Qingyao, you actually caught feelings for a guy who is years younger than you. You're completely twisted in the head. And worse, you're totally spineless. Yu Shen loved you, and at least he had the damn courage to say it out loud. But what about you? You only dare to obsess over him in secret. You don't even have the guts to look him in the eye and say, "I love you" out loud. You even pulled all those ridiculous stunts, driving away the one man who loved you with his dying breath. Ye Qingyao, you are an absolute idiot, the biggest fool in the entire world. Listening to Kai Chang's maniacal laughter, Ye Qingyao should have been furious, but she wasn't, because he was absolutely right. She truly was the biggest idiot on the planet. When she first found out that Yu Shen had feelings for her, her initial reaction wasn't actually anger. It was pure joy. Why? Because she had secretly felt the exact same way about him for a long time. But she convinced herself it was impossible. She was years older than him. How could they ever actually be together? It made sense for him to get attached. He was still just a kid, after all. But she wasn't. She was a grown woman. She was the older one, so naturally, she had to be the rational one. She couldn't just lose her mind to infatuation the way he did. She had to hold back, harden her heart, and do what she thought was right. Just as their love was starting to bloom, she ruthlessly crushed it. After that split second of joy, she slapped on a cold mask and harshly rejected him. Then, she brought in Kai Cheng. She made him play her fake boyfriend just to completely kill Yu Shen's hopes. She genuinely thought she was doing the right thing. As the older sister figure, she had to stay cold and composed. And no matter how deeply she loved him, she couldn't just give in and confess. As practically his guardian, it was her job to steer Yu Shen back onto the right path. But if she had clearly done the right thing, why the hell did it end like this? On the very day of her wedding, the man she loved more than anything sank into the ocean. The agony hit her like a broken dam, completely washing over her from every direction. Ye Qingyao clutched her chest. The pain was so intense, she couldn't even breathe. Her Yu Shen. What kind of absolute despair must he have felt to willingly lay down inside that freezing pod? Ever since he was little, he was terrified of the dark and the cold. When she first brought him to the Yi family estate, he would clutch his stuffed rabbit every single night and sneak into her room just to sleep beside her. In that sweet, innocent little voice, he would whisper, "Sister Yao Yao is like a giant heater. She's so warm. As long as you're here, Yu Shen will never, ever be cold." Yet, in the end, he chose the absolute coldest cryopod in the entire world. But why? Because she had completely shattered his heart, and he couldn't feel an ounce of warmth from this world anymore. Was that why he would rather lock himself inside a freezing chamber, sealing his whole world away in ice? Was that really it? Ye Qingyao didn't have the answer. All she knew was that, right at this exact moment, she missed Yu Shen so much she felt like she was losing her damn mind. She had to see him. Right now. Even if he was locked away in a block of ice. Her team worked fast, tracking down the contact info for the cryopreservation research group and pinpointing the exact location of their lab. Ye Qingyao rushed over like her life depended on it. The director of the facility stepped out to meet her. "You must be Miss Ye Qingyao, right?" "Well, right before Mr. Lin Yu Shen was frozen, he left a final letter with me. He told me that if anyone ever came looking for him, I should hand them this exact letter." As he spoke, the director pulled a brown envelope from his briefcase and gently handed it over to her. Scrawled across the front in Lin Yu Shen's familiar handwriting were the words, "To be opened only by Ye Qingyao." Instantly, her hands started to shake. She took the envelope, and just taking a breath felt agonizing. "So, Yu Shen, you knew I'd come looking for you? Is this all just your way of punishing your sister Yao Yao?" The director sighed. "Miss Ye, I think you probably need a moment alone. Tell you what, I'll go wait right outside in the hall. Take your time. Once you finish reading and pull yourself together, just come find me in the office next door." With that, the director turned and walked out. He quietly shut the door behind him. Ye Qingyao took one massive, shaky breath and tore open the envelope. "Dear Yao Yao, the person opening this letter right now has to be you, doesn't it? Because, honestly, I don't think a single other person would come looking for me. When I really stop and think about it, it's pretty pathetic. After being alive all these years, if I were to just suddenly vanish one day, apart from you, I literally can't think of a second person who would try to find me. And you know what's even more pathetic? Right now, as I'm writing this, I'm not even 100% sure you'll actually come. After all, you already have Kai Cheng. I'm sorry, I know you hate it when I say things like that. Please don't be mad at me. I'm really not trying to complain. To be honest, I'm genuinely happy for you. Being all alone in this world, it's just way too lonely. Being able to find someone you truly love, someone to spend the rest of your life with, that's a beautiful kind of luck. Sister Yao Yao, I don't know why, but every single time I try to congratulate you, you just never believe me. You probably still think I'm holding on to us, right? That every congratulations I force out is just a bitter lie. That I'm playing some twisted game with a hidden agenda. But I promise you, it's not like that. Okay, yeah, I'll admit it. I am still completely in love with you. Honestly, that feeling wouldn't fade even if 1,000 or 10,000 years went by. But my love for you, it's the realest thing I have. And those blessings I gave for your big day, they were 100% genuine, too. By the time you're reading this letter, I'm probably already locked away in my freezing little casket, huh? So you see, at this exact moment, I don't have a single reason left to lie. So, Yao Yao, can you finally believe me? From the very bottom of my shattered heart, I am truly happy for you. I really hope you and your perfect guy grow old together, surrounded by a loud, happy house full of kids and grandkids. I want you to experience every beautiful thing this crazy world has to offer, even if the guy standing next to you isn't me. Yao Yao, please, whatever you do, don't cry over me checking out early, and don't you dare blame yourself for this. Because me making this final choice, it honestly has absolutely nothing to do with you. Think back to when I was just a little kid. Every time my parents started screaming at each other, I'd shove myself into the closet. It was pitch black in there, freezing cold, but curled up in that tiny, suffocating space was the only time I ever felt safe. Back in those days, that pathetic little closet, that was my entire universe. Then, you came along. You carried me out into the light. But man, the world outside was just so incredibly massive and so terrifyingly empty. Even though the darkness was gone, my heart just felt completely lost, like it was floating in midair. I guess I really overestimated my own strength. After hiding in a tiny box for so long, I just couldn't wire my brain for a world this huge. But, lucky for me, I still had you. As long as you were standing right there by my side, Yao Yao, I wasn't scared of a damn thing. And so, I quietly handed my whole heart over to you. Through every passing season, my love for you just silently grew deeper and deeper. I never once thought there was anything sick or sinful about it. To me, it felt beautiful. It felt sacred. Back in school, my favorite teacher used to tell me that when you're living out your life in this world, you are never actually completely alone. There are billions of people out there, and between every single soul, there's bound to be some kind of invisible thread tying them together. All those tiny, fragile threads weave together into a massive web. And that web, that's what keeps a person anchored to reality. He even gave us this whole speech, saying how every kid has a mom and a dad. That unbreakable bond of family love tying us to our parents, that's our main anchor to the world. Well, tough break for me. I don't have a mom, and I don't have a dad. I only had you, Yao Yao. I don't have a soulmate either. I only ever had you. I don't even have any real friends. It was always just you. I remember standing at this busy intersection, watching oceans of people sprinting past me. Millions of people in this city, and to me, they're just faceless ghosts. But you were different. You were the only one who pulled me close when I was freezing, the only one who rubbed my back when I was having a panic attack, the only one who actually bought me a birthday cake. You'd get me presents, sit with me in the dark, and watch me blow out the candles while I made my stupid little wishes. Yao Yao, you always called my love for you twisted and abnormal. Your guy Kai Chang even called me a straight-up pervert. But seriously, how the hell could I not love you? When my mom finally snapped from Dad's insane mind games and took a kitchen knife to his chest, when she gave me that eerie smile right before hanging herself from the ceiling, my entire reality shattered into a million pieces. And you were the one who dragged me out of the rubble. You tried to tell me that Dad actually loved Mom with all his heart. You said he just went about it the wrong way. You told me Mom loved me to death, but she was just losing her mind and was terrified she'd end up hurting me. So she checked out early, dumping me in your lap so you could play babysitter for her. So explain this to me. Why the hell could you make excuses for my dad's psycho version of love? But my love for you is the one thing you treat like a disease. You know what? Don't even answer that. Seriously, Yao Yao, keep your answer. I'm just spilling all this baggage so you understand one thing. Loving you was the purest, most sacred thing I've done in my entire messed up life, even if it creeps you out and you completely reject it. Just, please don't look at it like it's garbage. Don't look at me like I'm disgusting. And please, don't hate me. Hundreds, or even thousands of years from now, when some sci-fi technology finally cures my cancer, do me a favor and leave me on ice. Do not thaw me out. You see, you are my only anchor to this world. Yao Yao. Now that my anchor is completely severed, I couldn't care less about the universe out there. I finally crawled right back into my childhood closet. This is exactly where I belong. It's suffocating, pitch black, and totally safe. I'm going to close my eyes for a really, really long time, and I don't plan on ever opening them again. But right before I drift off into this endless sleep for the absolute last time, I want to leave one last blessing for my favorite person in the world. Yao Yao, I hope your wedding is absolute magic. I hope the rest of your life is bursting with happiness, peace, and not a single regret. With trembling hands, Yu Xian signed his name, sealing his final farewell. A single tear fell in dead silence, instantly blurring the ink on the letter. Ye Qingyao finally snapped out of her daze, only to realize her cheeks were absolutely soaked. May you find endless joy, with zero regrets. Staring at Yushan's final blessing, her mind just broke, sending her into a crazy spiral of laughing and sobbing all at once. Yuxian, with you gone, how the hell am I supposed to ever be happy again? Did you even know that everything you saw before you died was completely fake? It was all just a sick lie your sister Yao Yao fed you. One tragic goodbye left both of them drowning in endless regrets. It took what felt like hours before Qingyao finally managed to drag herself out of that room. The second she stepped through the door, it honestly felt like a whole lifetime had just flashed by. Miss Ye, our cryopreservation of Mr. Lin Yuxian, was 100% legal and completely by the book. Here is all the paperwork. Every single signature required was personally signed by Mr. Lin Yuxian himself. Also, I need you to know this. Please don't treat this as a final goodbye, because Lin Yuxian isn't actually dead. The freezing process happened in an absolute flash. I can guarantee that not a single cell in his body took any damage whatsoever. Right after the freeze, we immediately ran a full-body scan to monitor all his vitals. And the results proved that all of Mr. Lin Yuxian's vital signs are locked in absolutely perfect condition. His life didn't end. He is simply frozen in time, right here on this exact day, December 12th. Hearing December 12th hit Qingyao like a freight train, Yuxian actually chose to freeze himself on this exact date. This was his birthday. Yes, this exact day was his damn birthday. And what was she doing while he was freezing? On this exact day, for Kai Cheng's sake, she was throwing the biggest, most extravagant wedding imaginable. On this day, she had completely ghosted Yuxian, failing to be there for his very last birthday. In that split second, the memory of that day came crashing back into her mind like a total nightmare. She remembered Yuxian begging her to just spend time with him. Tomorrow is my birthday. You always used to celebrate it with me. Could you please just celebrate it with me? One last time. I know asking this on your wedding day is super selfish, but I promise I won't ruin your ceremony. By 4 p.m., all the wedding stuff will definitely be over. I just need you to come over then, have a single bite of cake with me, and just say, "Happy birthday." Then, I'll be totally satisfied. He really was a guy who asked for next to nothing. He had never, ever begged her for a single thing before this. The one and only time he pleaded with her, all he wanted was for her to share a slice of cake and just tell him, "Happy birthday." That would have been more than enough. And yet, even a request that painfully simple, she had totally blown off. The guilt hit her like a jagged knife, violently twisting and tearing her heart apart over and over again. Qingyao clutched her chest, literally wishing she were dead. The director kept talking. While we haven't perfected the thawing tech yet, science is always moving forward. I truly believe that in just a few short years, we'll be able to safely thaw Mr. Lin Yuxian out without harming his body at all. The director continued. Plus, maybe by then, we'll actually have a cure for cancer. When that glorious day finally comes, Mr. Lin Yuxian won't just be successfully thawed out, but his cancer could be easily wiped out too. It is an absolute win-win. Isn't that way better than suffering through brutal chemo? Hearing that, Qingyao violently snapped her head up. Thaw. Right. Oh my god. He can still be thawed. Acting like a drowning woman grabbing a lifeline, she grabbed the director's shoulders, and then completely lost it. Screaming at the top of her lungs, "Thaw Yuxian out right now. Do it immediately. I need to see him. I have to see him." The director panicked. Miss Ye, please calm down. The poor director started sweating bullets. I totally get how you feel, but you completely misunderstood what I was saying. When I said thawing, I didn't mean right this second. I meant years, maybe decades down the line. Right now, our cutting-edge tech can only rapidly freeze a person without destroying their cells. But as for bringing them back, I'm so sorry, but we just do not have that capability yet. Qingyao erupted in absolute fury. How the hell can you not do it? Freezing and thawing are supposed to be a package deal. They go hand in hand. If you have absolutely no idea how to thaw someone out, why the hell are you even freezing volunteers? The director pleaded. Miss, you need to take a breath. Thawing someone out and freezing them are two completely different beasts. When we freeze them, as long as the temperature drops insanely fast, locking them up in a split second, their cells stay perfectly safe. Even when a person is frozen completely solid, their cells remain perfectly intact and very much alive. The cells are simply paused in time, completely inactive. The person is locked in that exact split second, never aging another day. But thawing them out? That is a whole different ballgame. The challenge of waking someone up is infinitely harder. Sure, ice melts easily enough, you just add some heat, right? But imagine there is a tiny, fragile little hamster trapped inside that ice. How do you melt the block without harming the little guy even a single bit? Do you just drop the ice block into some warm water? That might sound like a gentle approach, but you have to remember that the ice melts at totally different speeds depending on the section. The closer you get to the center, the slower the thaw becomes. That easily leads to a nightmare scenario where the little hamster's brain is fully awake, but its internal organs are still locked in solid ice. A human body is completely interconnected. The very second the surface thaws out, your blood immediately starts trying to pump. If your internal organs or the lower half of your body are still frozen solid at that exact moment, can you even imagine what happens next? Just think about how utterly terrifying that would be. Blood rushes toward your organs but hits a literal wall of ice, causing your entire circulatory system to violently shut down. Could anyone actually survive that? The true hurdle of the thawing process is figuring out how to instantly melt every single cell in the human body in the exact same split second. And the brutal truth? Our current scientific tech just cannot pull that off. But Miss Ye, I swear to you that every single researcher here is working around the clock, pouring their hearts into finding the perfect, safe way to thaw them. I truly believe that in the very near future, we will absolutely crush this technological roadblock and safely wake up every single frozen patient. The director trailed off for a moment. He adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses, flashing a bitter, helpless smile. And, let us be brutally honest, even if we could wake Mr. Lin Yuxin up right now, what would be the point? He has late-stage pancreatic cancer. With our current medical limits, there is absolutely zero chance we can cure him. Waking him up now just means you would be forced to watch him suffer in pure, incurable agony all over again. Those heavy words hit Ye Qingyao like a truck, snapping her back to reality. He was right. What was the point of dragging Yu Xin out of his sleep right now? Yu Xin was dying from an utterly incurable disease. Even with her bottomless bank account, she still could not buy his life back. But God, she just wanted to see him one last time. She desperately needed to look him in the eyes and tell him that everything he saw before getting frozen was a total lie. She had faked it all. She never actually married Kai Cheng, and she sure as hell never loved him. From the very beginning, right up to the bitter end, the only boy she ever kept in her heart was him. In her reality, he was her entire world. Where is Yu Shen right now? Ye Qingyao finally asked, her voice cracking after a long, suffocating silence. I need to see him. The director gently explained that Lin Yushen's cryopod was actually stationed at the bottom of the deep sea. He explained that the research team had only built a specialized storage vault down there, not a fully functioning lab. And to make matters worse, that deep-sea vault was only designed to hold the pods themselves. Living, breathing humans absolutely could not go inside. Miss Ye, you have to understand that the ocean floor is a completely different beast than the surface. Down there, you are dealing with freezing temperatures and absolutely crushing water pressure. Building a fully operational base at the bottom of the ocean costs a massive fortune. I know it sounds pathetic, but our research team has honestly always been running on fumes financially. So, we could only afford to build the basic storage unit on the sea floor, completely scrapping the lab. And to protect those precious cryopods from getting eaten away by the harsh seawater, the vault is totally hermetically sealed. with every single ounce of air vacuumed out. After all, air has oxygen, and oxygen would instantly cause the pod's materials to rust and fail. Because of that setup, there is absolutely zero way for a living person to step foot inside that vault. If you are hell-bent on seeing Mr. Lin Yushen, our only option is to use heavy machinery to haul his pod all the way back to the surface. You would just need to cover the incredibly steep transportation fee. But to Ye Qingyao, a problem that could be fixed with money was not a problem at all. Without blinking, she paid triple the asking price right on the spot, demanding the team move heaven and earth to get Lin Yushen's pod back to the shore as fast as humanly possible. But even with VIP treatment, the haul would take 2 entire days. 2 days. 48 long, agonizing hours. It might not sound like a long time, but for a devastated Ye Qingyao, every single ticking second without Yu Shen felt like utter torture. She stumbled out of the research facility, completely shattered, got into her car, and aimlessly drove through the massive city like a lost, wandering ghost with absolutely nowhere left to go. She couldn't bear the thought of going home, simply because there was no one left in that empty house waiting for her return. She parked her car by the side of the road, stepped out, and wandered toward a busy intersection with an endless stream of traffic. She stood right there, dead center in the middle of the crossing, watching the massive crowds of people rushing back and forth, finally understanding, firsthand, the very words Lin Yushen had left behind in his suicide note. I stood at the crossroads, watching the swarms of people rush past me. This city is packed with so many people, yet to me, they're all complete strangers. Only Sister Yao Yao is different. Sister Yao Yao is my only tether to this world. Yet, back when he was battling cancer, when he desperately needed someone by his side the most, and needed her protection more than anything, she was the one who personally cut that final tie between them. Yu Shen had sworn in his note that none of this was her fault. But how the hell could it not be? She was the one who had single-handedly snapped his only lifeline to this world. She was the one who pushed him into that freezing, hopeless abyss. She was supposed to protect him. Her heart tore itself apart, over and over again. Ye Qingyao clutched her aching chest and slowly sank to the ground. "Miss," a kind-hearted passerby stepped up and asked, "Are you doing all right?" Ye Qingyao forced a bitter, broken smile and shook her head in silence. No, she was not okay. On December 12th, she had lost the one person she loved most in this world. Stumbling around in a total daze, Ye Qingyao eventually found herself at a local park. She slumped onto a bench, looking utterly empty as she stared blankly at a flock of white doves fluttering around nearby. The sight brought back a memory. Back when Lin Yushen was just a little boy, she had brought him to this exact spot to feed the doves. The little guy had been so incredibly shy. At first, he was too terrified to even feed them. He hid behind her, tightly gripping her leg and peeking out at the birds, until she gently guided his hand to pet a calm little white dove. Only then did he finally muster up some courage, scooping up handfuls of feed and happily chasing the doves all over the grass. Back then, Yu Shen had laughed so brightly. Just as she was drowning in her memories, completely unable to pull herself out, a crisp, youthful voice suddenly broke the silence. "Excuse me, miss? Could I bother you for just a minute?" Ye Qingyao snapped back to harsh reality, turning her cold, lifeless eyes toward the young man standing in front of her. He looked to be in his early 20s. He had a decent face, not drop-dead gorgeous, but glowing with an upbeat, youthful energy. He wore a black tracksuit and held a thick, bulky notebook that looked a lot like a scrapbook, along with a simple ballpoint pen. "Miss, here's the thing. I'm currently trying to win over my older sister." The young guy's face flushed red as he quickly added, "Oh, not my biological sister. She's the older girl who lives next door. You see, I grew up in a single-parent household. My mom passed away when I was really little, and my dad was always out busting his back to make a living, so he barely had time to look after me. The older sister next door saw how pitiful I was, so she'd constantly invite me over to her place for home-cooked meals. She helped me with my homework, celebrated all my birthdays, and even bought me new clothes. She is so incredibly gentle and so beautiful. I like her so much." He smiled. "When I was a kid, my biggest dream was to grow up as fast as I could, confess my feelings to her, date her, and eventually marry her." As the young man talked about this older sister next door, his eyes lit up, absolutely shining and sparkling, like a brilliant spotlight suddenly flicking on in the middle of a pitch-black night. His entire existence had clearly been illuminated by her. I waited for a really long time, and I finally managed to grow up. But when I finally confessed to her, with my heart completely full of hope, she shot me down. Right at that moment, the bright light in the young guy's eyes instantly faded. She told me she's 12 years older than me. She said if we actually got together, people would talk and gossip behind our backs. But I refused to accept that. I honestly don't think age is a problem at all. True love can conquer absolutely anything, and I want to prove to her that people today are a lot more open-minded than she thinks. An age gap relationship with an older woman is completely normal. As long as we just take that brave first step, we'll definitely reach our happy ending. So, I decided to hit the streets to gather opinions from all sorts of everyday people. Could I bother you for just a few minutes? I'd love for you to write down your honest thoughts on age gap relationships right here in my scrapbook. I want to show her that, sure, there might be a few nasty people whispering about us if we get together, but in the real world, there are way more people who will actually understand and support us. The young man's innocent words hit Ye Qing Yao like a truck, sending another agonizing wave of pain straight through her heart. This kid standing right in front of her, driven by a pure burst of fiery passion, running around the city just for the sake of love, looked exactly like Lin Yu Shen, back when he had finally gathered the courage to confess his own feelings to her just a few short months ago. You don't look very old yourself. Are you even 20? Ye Qingyao asked softly. I am, the young guy replied proudly. I'm turning 21 this year, 21 years old. You're just so young. Do you even know what real love is? Ye Qingyao asked him once more, her voice tinged with doubt. Haven't you ever stopped to consider that maybe your feelings for this older woman aren't actually romantic? Maybe, because you lacked a mother's warmth growing up, you just developed a deep psychological dependency on the older girl next door. And since you're still so young, you just can't tell the difference between the two, mistaking that safe, comforting feeling for true love. These were the exact same words Ye Qingyao had been dying to say to Lin Yuxin. Lin Yuxin was just too young. He was only 18 years old. Could a boy that age really understand what romantic love meant? She hadn't dared to accept his heartfelt confession back then. It was precisely because she was terrified that he was just confusing true love with an emotional dependency. Kids always tend to mistake their blind admiration and dependency on an older figure for romance. Lady, I might be young, but I'm definitely not an idiot, the young guy fired back, clearly offended by her assumption. Can you older folks please stop treating us young people like we're totally clueless? We aren't stupid. We know exactly what real love is. Besides, I study biology in college. I'm a top-tier university honors student. I can tell you right now, backed by absolute facts, that we young people actually understand love way better than you ever could. Because we are young, vibrant, and healthy, our bodies secrete a massive rush of hormones the second we lock eyes with someone we like. So, compared to your cautious feelings, the love we young people experience is so much more passionate, incredibly blind, and completely reckless. But that definitely doesn't mean we are stupid. It just means we love purely. His fiery words left Ye Qingyao completely stunned and speechless. She had always firmly believed that young people were just mentally immature, that they lacked rationality, and had no clue what true love actually meant. But in this exact, piercing moment, she finally realized the harsh truth. The one who truly didn't understand love was actually her. What was the point of all that rationality? What good was all that restraint? Once you truly fall head over heels, none of that logic matters at all. When love crashes over you like a violent tidal wave, how could there possibly be an ounce of rationality left? All her careful rationality and stubborn restraint felt like nothing more than a cruel, absolute joke right now. I am so sorry. I really shouldn't have questioned your feelings for her, Ye Qingyao whispered, her voice softening. The woman you love is incredibly lucky to have found you. Hearing those words, a bright blush spread across the young man's cheeks. He just shook his head and murmured softly, No, honestly, I am the truly lucky one to have met her. Ye Qingyao gently took the pen he handed her. With a heart suddenly filled with absolute devotion and a profound new awe for love, she began to write down her deepest thoughts in his little collection book. To the beautiful, anonymous older sister next door, The young man you love just told me your story. He shared so much with me. But from the very beginning to the end, all I could hear was your endless gentleness toward him and his fiercely deep love for you. Even when you pushed him away and rejected him, your only excuse was that society's gossip is a terrifying thing. Never once did you say that you didn't love him back. So, I'm bold enough to guess that you absolutely love this passionate guy right back, this sweet boy who loves you so deeply that he even acts a little foolish for your sake. You just can't bring yourself to admit your true feelings, simply because you are the older one. You feel this heavy burden to be the rational adult. You think it's perfectly fine for him to be wild and reckless, but you convince yourself that you cannot be. You even believe that you have to harden your heart and cut off a bond the world might judge, totally convinced that walking away is the right thing to do. But I have to ask, are the judgmental stares of the world really that important? We only get to live this life once. Will you choose to spend it cowering under the harsh whispers of others? Or will you finally stand up and bravely fight for yourself and the person you truly love? The man who loves you with all his heart is literally running through the streets right now, stopping complete strangers in their tracks, just begging them to write down blessings for your romance in this slightly childish, beat-up notebook he bought just for you. He has never once feared the world's bitter judgment. Is it simply because he doesn't care? Honestly, I don't think so. He does this because his love for you is more than enough. His willpower is unshakable. Gossip can never defeat him, and the strange, judgmental glares from others won't ever drag him down either. I actually asked him if doing all of this was worth the trouble. He told me that just the mere thought of your smile makes absolutely anything he does completely worth it. I truly believe that this right here, this is exactly what love looks like in its purest, truest form. It has absolutely nothing to do with age, nor does it care about money or status. Real love is beautifully pure. The only vulgar, complicated ones are the rest of us. Your young man's brave words today have honestly taught me a profound, life-changing lesson. If you find the courage to accept him, I sincerely pray that you two grow old together, fiercely love each other for a lifetime, and never let yourselves be torn apart by toxic gossip or rumors. After pouring out her heart, Ye Qingyao gently handed the collection book back to the young man. Seeing that she had written page after page, the young man's eyes lit up with sheer excitement. Lady, thank you so much. You wrote this so beautifully. When she reads this, she is going to be so incredibly moved. Ye Qingyao gave him a warm, grateful smile. No, thank you. After talking with you today, I finally feel a sudden, blinding sense of absolute clarity. Lately, the heavy fog suffocating her heart had finally cleared, leaving her brave enough to look deep into her own soul. She loved Lin Yuxin. She didn't want to just be his big sister Yao Yao anymore. She wanted to hold him, to kiss him, to claim every single part of him and make him entirely hers. This wasn't some selfless, platonic family bond. It was a fierce, burning romance between a man and a woman. The rest of the world might never accept their love, but who cares? You only get one life, and once you miss your shot, there are no do-overs. She had already let Yuxin slip through her fingers once. She was absolutely not going to lose him a second time. As soon as she got home, Ye Qingyao made two life-changing decisions. First, the Ye Group was getting a massive technological overhaul. Moving forward, the company would lock away 20% of its annual profits. Half of that massive fund would go straight to the cryopreservation team, pushing them to crack a safe thawing technology as fast as humanly possible, and the other half would fund top-tier cancer research, aiming to finally cure the disease and save countless lives. At the exact same time, she stepped down as chairperson of the Ye Group, handing the reins over to her own biological little sister, Ye Nianbei, as the new acting chair. From this day on, every single company decision, big or small, rested squarely on Nianbei's shoulders. As for her second decision, 3 days later, Ye Qingyao finally laid eyes on Lin Yushen, the man she had been agonizing over day and night. Lin Yushen lay perfectly still inside the cryopod. His eyes were gently closed, his expression sweet and totally at peace. He looked exactly like he was just taking a nap. Staring at his sleeping face through the glass, Ye Qingyao couldn't stop the memories from flooding back all those countless nights she used to gently coax him to sleep. He used to close his eyes just like this, resting obediently in her arms, his long eyelashes curling beautifully upward. He always looked as flawless and fragile as a porcelain doll. The only cruel difference now was the thick layer of frost clinging to his eyelashes and his face. It was just so unbearably pale. It must be freezing cold inside that pod, right? Yu Shen, don't be afraid. Your sister Yao Yao is coming to keep you company very soon. Yu Shen, I am so sorry. Sister Yao Yao lied to you. Ye Qingyao reached her trembling hand forward, desperately wanting to caress his pale cheek. But all she felt was the biting, freezing glass of the pod. She couldn't touch him at all. It was just like the past, when he had tried so hard to touch her heart, only for her to lock him out over and over again. The truth is, Kai Chang was never my boyfriend. I didn't love him even a tiny bit. The person I've truly loved this entire time was always you. I was just too terrified to admit it. I thought that if I confessed my feelings, it would be a massive betrayal. A betrayal to your parents. Your mom always treated me like her own flesh and blood. How could I possibly harbor such sinful desires for their son? I couldn't bring myself to say it. So, I started brainwashing myself. I lied to myself, saying you didn't actually love me, that you were just too young to know better, that you didn't understand what real love was. I told myself that, as your older sister, it was my job to fix you. I couldn't let you ruin your life. That's why I paid Kai Cheng. I hired him to play my boyfriend, just to force you to give up on me. It was all a sick lie. He's literally just a makeup artist. Those marks you saw on his neck? He painted them on himself with makeup props. Even the wedding was totally fake. I wasn't even there. I just threw money at it and stayed away from start to finish. As for the rest of it, I just let Kai Cheng do whatever the hell he wanted to put on a good show. The wedding looked grand on the outside, but honestly, I was entirely checked out the whole day. All I could think about was ending that stupid farce as fast as possible so I could rush over and celebrate your birthday with you. Saying all this, Ye Qingyao let out a bitter, broken smile. This fierce woman, who had practically never shed a single tear in her entire life, now stood there with completely bloodshot eyes. Yu Shen, I am so sorry. I swore to you I would be there for your birthday, and I still broke my promise. Ye Qingyao sobbed, feeling like her heart was being carved open by a rusty knife. Our European project hit a massive roadblock. The regional manager called, saying the situation was incredibly critical and that I had to fly out and handle it personally. I convinced myself that we'd have a million more chances to celebrate your birthday. I thought missing just this 1 year wouldn't really matter. But you, my sweet boy. How did this suddenly turn into our very last time? If I had known it would be the last, I swear, even if the entire universe exploded, I never would have left your side. Separated by that thick, freezing casket, she couldn't even caress his face. And the most agonizing part was that Ye Qingyao knew, no matter how desperately she poured her heart out, he couldn't hear a single word. But she just couldn't hold it back. She had to tell him, Yu Shen, please forgive your Yao Yao, okay? I promise you, for every single birthday you have from now on, I will be right there by your side. Until death do us part. With tears in her eyes, Qingyao leaned down and pressed a desperate kiss against the freezing glass of the cryopod. She kissed the exact spot hovering right over his lips. Because of that thick icy barrier, she couldn't actually feel him just yet. But that was totally fine. She knew deep down that the next time he opened his eyes, she would finally be able to kiss him for real, with absolutely nothing holding her back. She might have to wait thousands of years just for this one kiss, but she honestly didn't care. She was more than willing to wait. Miss Yi, you're not pulling my leg right now, are you? The head of the cryo research team gasped in pure shock. Are you seriously demanding that we freeze you too? Qingyao just nodded, her voice totally calm and unshaken. That is exactly right. And starting today, you can consider me the absolute largest shareholder of your entire research facility. From this moment on, 10% of the Ye Group's annual revenue will be poured straight into this base, all to fund your thawing technology. 10% might not sound like a huge deal at first, but this was the Yi Group. Their monthly net profit easily hit the hundreds of billions. Miss Yi, we are beyond grateful that you want to back us up with this massive amount of funding. But listen, cryotechnology is strictly meant as a last resort for patients dealing with terminal illnesses. The director tried his absolute best to patiently explain reality to her. For brutal diseases like ALS, cancer, or complete organ failure. With where modern medicine is at right now, those poor patients have zero hope for a cure. A lot of these terminally ill people are still incredibly young. Instead of just sitting around waiting to die, they would rather say their final goodbyes to everyone they love, and then go under, literally freezing their illness in time inside these pods. They sleep in the ice, waiting for science to catch up and for human medical tech to finally level up. The moment a real cure for their illness is finally discovered, that is exactly when we thaw them out. The director paused for a second, looking incredibly awkward before he muttered, "But your body is perfectly healthy. You aren't sick at all. I just cannot wrap my head around why you would want to freeze yourself alive." Hearing that, Qingyao just turned her head, gazing deeply into the room holding Lin Yuchen's pod. Her eyes were completely overflowing with pure, heartbreaking tenderness. If he wakes up, and I am not right by his side, he is going to feel so incredibly lonely, and I swore I would never let him feel that way ever again. Hearing her devastating confession, the director was completely stunned before letting out a massive, heavy sigh. "Miss Yi, I know you love Mr. Lin Yuxin deeply, but romance isn't everything in life. It is my professional duty to warn you that once you go under, even though your time stops entirely, the clock keeps ticking for your family and your friends. When you finally wake up hundreds or even thousands of years from now, everyone you ever cared about will be long gone. Those dying patients, they don't have a choice. They desperately want to live, so they have to bet it all on this freezing tech. But you are completely different. You are young and perfectly healthy. You can live a long, happy, and amazing life with your loved ones right here in the world you actually know. Are you really going to throw away your entire family and all your friends right now, just for the sake of love? Are you seriously giving up everything you own just to lock yourself in a metal box and sleep beside Mr. Lin Yuxin?" Faced with the director's desperate reality check, Qingyao just nodded without a single ounce of hesitation. "Save your breath. You can't change my mind. I made this choice a long time ago." Deep down, she knew the future would be a totally alien, terrifying place. But that was exactly why she was dead set on freezing herself, ready to dive into an endless sleep right beside her boy. That way, when he finally opened his eyes, he wouldn't be terrified. He had once told her she was his only anchor to this world. Since he felt that way, there was absolutely no way she was letting him go at it alone. She would walk right beside him through thousands of years of frozen time, heading straight into the unknown future. But guys, now we gotta talk about what comes next. Your love for Mr. Lin Yushen moves me deeply. However, I still have to throw some cold water on you. The director sighed heavily and warned her. Successfully thawing a human is still just a massive theoretical concept on paper. Even though every single researcher here is insanely passionate about this, we have tested it 14 times already, and every single attempt has been a total failure. You have to accept that there is still a massive chance we might fail in the future. If the day comes, and we are completely unable to develop a safe way to thaw a human body, I gave Mr. Lin Yushin this exact same warning. If our research hits a dead end, neither of you will ever wake up again. The facility director pleaded with her, desperately trying to talk Ye Qingyao out of freezing herself alive. But no matter how hard he pushed, she only had one answer. "Whether you figure out the thawing process or not, I'm not changing my mind." Her eyes were dead set, without a single flicker of doubt. "I already lost my chance with him once. I am absolutely not losing him again." If the technology worked, she'd wake up right beside him in the future. And if it failed, she'd just follow him straight into the afterlife. The deep sea was way too dark and freezing to leave him all alone. How would her sweet boy ever survive that? He was terrified of the dark and hated the cold. Realizing he was talking to a brick wall, the director finally gave up. He slid the cryo consent forms across the table, and she signed her life away without missing a beat. Qingyao worked with ruthless efficiency, clearing every piece of red tape in a single day. But she didn't hop into the icebox just yet. Before checking out of reality, she had to set the stage for what came next. She dumped her entire life savings straight into the director's lap, ordering his research team to build a massive, state-of-the-art cryo facility right at Starmoon Bay. Her Yuxin was completely obsessed with the stars, and Starmoon Bay had the most breathtaking night sky and a lake that mirrored the moon. The bottom of the ocean was simply way too dark and way too cold. There was no way she was letting her Yuxin rot at the bottom of the sea. Once the new facility was finished, she and Yushen would be moved there, sleeping peacefully side by side for 1,000 years, right under the gorgeous stars. And while they slept, the very star she had gifted him would keep watch over them. But she didn't just stop at building the one vault at Starmoon Bay. Qingyao mapped out a handful of other prime locations, ordering the director to build backup vaults and research labs at every single one. With her master plan locked in, she finally climbed right into her freezing chamber. The automated countdown buzzed in her ears, and Qingyao slowly closed her eyes. She didn't feel an ounce of fear. Her mind was entirely consumed by thoughts of her Yuxin. Don't be scared. Your Yao Yao is coming to keep you company. Initiate the freeze. As the director barked the order, a bone-chilling wave of frost swallowed her whole. Clutching onto her endless love for Lin Yuxin, Qingyao faded into the dark. In mere moments, the process was completely finished. Both of their lives were firmly put on pause by the unyielding ice. But for the rest of the world, the clock kept ticking. Time flew by in a blur of sunrises and sunsets. In the blink of an eye, 50 long years had completely vanished. Some smart guy once said that human tech doesn't just casually stroll forward, it explodes like a supernova. It leaps forward in massive bounds over a short period, right before hitting a total brick wall. It took us thousands of years to crawl out of the mud, but modern high-tech isn't some ancient buildup, it basically erupted overnight in just a few decades. Our whole journey into a hyper-modern society only took about 100 years or so, and as it turned out, the medical and thawing tech leveled up way faster than Qingyao ever guessed. Thanks to the absolutely insane amount of cash she left behind, the research team cracked the code for a flawless thawing process in under 10 years. The only catch? Pancreatic cancer was still a death sentence back then. So, the director kept them both on ice. But jump forward 50 years, and thanks to the sheer grind of thousands of elite doctors, pancreatic cancer was finally 100% curable. The exact moment to wake up the sleeping beauties was finally here. And now, the original director who put them under was already an 89-year-old grandpa. He'd been happily retired for over 20 years, but on the morning they were scheduled to thaw, he dragged himself all the way to the lab, desperate to see these star-crossed lovers reunite after a 50-year time jump, and the old director wasn't the only one waiting. A super mysterious VIP had also shown up at the base, eagerly watching for Qingyao and Yuxin to finally wake up. Thawing sequence initiated. A chilly, robotic female voice echoed through the room, making everyone's stomachs tie into nervous knots. I heard the person waking up today is actually the mega shareholder of our entire facility. Man, a ton of our experimental bases and cryopod storage rooms were built purely off the massive funding she dumped in to back us. Tell me about it. I heard the exact same thing. Before she went on ice, she was an insanely wealthy tycoon, but her sweetheart ended up catching some incurable disease, and she literally only chose to be frozen so they could stay together. To have that kind of crazy money and still be so head over heels in love, what an absolute legend. Her lover is seriously the luckiest guy alive. A few of the rookie staff members gossiped in hushed tones. As the biggest shareholder of this cryopreservation base for the past 50 years, Ye Qingyao and Lin Yuxin's legendary romance had been circulating in a million different versions all over the facility. Through years and years of constant retellings, a lot of the details had faded away. But a hardcore, sincere love that spanned 50 long years, that had moved countless hearts. The second the countdown hit 0, the heavy machinery cranked into gear, blasting a thick cloud of white mist straight at Ye Qingyao and Lin Yuxin's cryopods. Right after that, a sharp blue light flashed, and the thick ice inside their pods melted completely in a split second. At that exact moment, Ye Qingyao and Lin Yuxin, who had been dead to the world in a deep slumber for 50 years, slowly fluttered their eyes open. Waking up so abruptly, my eyes were completely glazed over. What the heck just happened? Wasn't I supposed to be in cryo-sleep forever? Why the hell am I awake right now? The exact second I was put on ice, everything faded to black. Because of that, my memories were completely stuck 50 years in the past, right at the moment I was frozen. So, in my head, it felt like I had just closed my eyes and instantly woke back up. Mr. Lin, how are you feeling? Seeing me stir, the medical staff quickly rushed over to check on me. Are you feeling dizzy? Nauseous? Don't panic. This is a totally normal reaction after being thawed out. If you need to hurl, just let it all out. Here's a puke bag. I've got some fresh water and a warm towel right here for you. And if you need absolutely anything else, just holler. My entire brain short-circuited. Wait. Thawed? Didn't I strictly tell the director to leave me frozen for good? But before the staff could even get a word in, a crazy, familiar female voice suddenly called out from behind me, Yuxin. Even after crossing decades of time, my heart recognized the owner of that sweet voice in a fraction of a second. Sister Yao Yao. I whipped around so fast my neck cracked, staring at her in absolute, utter disbelief. And the person standing right there behind me, staring into my eyes with intense, overwhelming affection, was really Ye Qingyao. She had clearly just stumbled out of a cryopod, too. Her hair was soaking wet, and her shivering body was still giving off clouds of freezing mist. But she couldn't have cared less about the freezing cold. The very second she got her mobility back, she stumbled right to my side and threw her arms around me, hugging me with every single ounce of strength she had left. Yuxin, I finally get to see you again. Ye Qingyao squeezed me so tightly against her chest, clinging to me with so much desperate force. It was like she was trying to melt my body straight into her own flesh and blood. Thank God for giving us another chance. With this long-awaited reunion, she was absolutely never going to let us be torn apart again. Sister Yao Yao, how are you even here right now? I stammered, my face an absolute picture of confusion. And why the heck do you look like you were just thawed out yourself? Right behind her, there was an open cryopod dripping with fresh condensation. My lagging brain finally started to piece the crazy puzzle together. Did Sister Yao Yao actually freeze herself too? But why on earth would she do that? Didn't she already get married to Kai Chang? If she was on ice all this time, then what the hell happened to her husband? A million questions slammed into me all at once. Having just woken up from a 50-year nap, my groggy brain just couldn't process this crazy overload of information. The split second I actually tried to think about it, my head throbbed so fiercely it felt like my skull was going to crack wide open. I gripped my head in agony, groaning in pain, sending Yao Qingyao into an instant panic. Yuxin, what's wrong? Is it a migraine? You just got thawed out, so please, just stop overthinking things for now. Here, drink some water and just rest. But I had way too many burning questions gnawing at my heart. I gripped the hem of her shirt, clinging onto it for dear life. Seeing my stubbornness, Yao Qingyao couldn't help but let out a soft smile. She gently stroked my hair, her face overflowing with nothing but pure, tender love, and whispered, "Don't worry, dummy. Sister Yao Yao isn't going anywhere. I'm going to stay right by your side. Forever." My body was still incredibly weak, so I had to rest up for a good long while before the brutal side effects of being thawed slowly faded away. And while I was recovering, Yao Qingyao sat there and patiently broke down every single crazy thing that went down after I was frozen. Wait, so it was all a lie? I gasped, my eyes wide and watery. Kai Chang was never actually your boyfriend? He was just some guy you paid off to trick me? Stared down by my big, dark puppy dog eyes, Yao Qingyao actually had the nerve to look a little guilty for a second. She pulled a long face, putting on this super serious look, and lectured me like it was the most obvious thing in the world. This is already something that happened 50 years ago. You couldn't possibly be petty enough to settle a 50-year-old score with your sister Yao Yao, right? What do you mean 50 years ago? This literally just happened yesterday. I pouted. Hearing that, Yao Qingyao pulled out a calendar and tapped on the year 2074. How could it be yesterday? Today is the year 2074. Kai Chang is probably already dead from old age. Just let it go. What does this have to do with Kai Chang? Weren't you the one who hired him to lie to me? Yeah, it was totally gross how he drove a wedge between us and insulted my parents, but you're obviously the mastermind here, right? I shot Yao Qingyao a sulky glare. Sister Yao Yao is the real villain here. She just laughed, totally amused by my grumpy face. She reached out, ruffling my fluffy hair, and coaxed me with a warm smile. Right. I am a big bad villain, and our Yushan is just a little cutie. Honestly, I was way too easy to win over. After all, this was Sister Yao Yao, the person I loved the most in this entire world. How could I ever actually stay mad at her? So, after holding a silent, mini tantrum for about 2 seconds, I dropped it, even though she was technically the bad guy. The second sister, Yao Yao, found out I was missing. She didn't just search the entire globe for me, she literally froze herself in a cryopod just to keep me company. I reached out and wrapped my arms tight around her slender waist. Leaning against her chest, I listened to the strong, steady rhythm of her heartbeat, closed my eyes, and whispered softly, "You gave up absolutely everything just to choose me. I do not have parents, I do not have relatives, and I do not even have friends. My one and only connection to this world is you, Sister Yao Yao, but you are different. You had a family and loved ones. Yet for my sake, you left all of that behind. Before I was frozen, I remember thinking with this crushing sense of regret that no one had ever truly, firmly chosen me. Even my own mother abandoned me in her final moments. But now, Sister Yao Yao had gambled her entire existence to choose me. Wherever I was, she would run right to me. She would hold my hand forever and never let go. So of course, I forgave her. I tipped my head up and pressed a gentle kiss to her beautiful cheek. But you have to promise me that you will never, ever lie to me again. Hearing that, her lips curled into a smile. Darling, you kissed the wrong spot, she murmured. With that, she cupped my face, leaned in, and captured my lips. She had wanted to kiss me for so long. The very first time I confessed my feelings to her, she should have held me tight and kissed me right then and there. But unfortunately, she was too foolish back then, entirely blinded by her own heart, which was locked away by society's expectations. 50 years ago, while I laid frozen in that cryopod, she couldn't reach out to touch me, nor could she lean down to kiss me. Now, this single kiss crossed 50 years of time to finally land on my lips. After a brief moment of warmth, I looked up and asked, Sister Yao Yao, how did you finally figure things out back then? Was it because I was frozen? Did the profound grief of losing me suddenly snap you out of it? Yes, but that wasn't the whole story, Ye Qingyao replied with a soft smile. On the day I left the cryobase, I ran into a young guy on the street who was trying to win over the older girl next door. One specific thing he said instantly jolted me awake. Bursting with curiosity, I asked, what exactly did he say to you? Can you tell me? Ye Qingyao lowered her head, pressed a sweet kiss to my forehead, and gently recounted that chance encounter from 50 years ago. When she finished, she couldn't help but let out an emotional sigh. 50 years have passed since then. I really wonder if that young man ever managed to win his girl over. The very second she said that, the lounge door was pushed open from the outside. Flanked by research staff, the general director of the base walked in, leaning heavily on a cane. He was a white-haired elderly man. Even though he was well up there in years, he still looked exceptionally sharp and energetic. Monsieur, this gentleman is the general director of our cryobase, Mr. Zhao Yihui. The researcher introduced him to Ye Qingyao. The laser and steam dynamic method used to thaw you and Mr. Lin Yushin was actually a concept proposed by Elder Zhao 40 years ago. Is that so? Ye Qingyao stepped forward, shaking hands with Elder Zhao with deep respect. Thank you for waking me in the love of my life. Elder Zhao looked at her, his face breaking into a beaming, knowing smile. No, Miss Ye, thank you. The smile on Elder Zhao's face grew even broader. The tension in the room was palpable as he slowly reached into an old-fashioned briefcase, pulling out a battered, worn-out collection book. With a warm, nostalgic smile, he looked right at Ye Qingyao and asked, Miss Ye, do you still remember me? Her eyes locked onto that tattered book, and her jaw absolutely dropped in pure, unadulterated shock. It's you, she gasped. That's right. It's me, Elder Joe chuckled softly, his eyes crinkling with kindness. I honestly never expected the world to be quite this small. You see, my very first job straight out of college just so happened to be at the International Cryopreservation Experimental Base, the exact same facility, entirely funded and sponsored by you, Miss Ye. Joey Hui then confessed something incredible. Back in the day, after his older sister had read the heartfelt message Ye Qingyao left for him, she was completely moved to tears. Because of those simple words, everything shifted in the end. She finally broke through her heavy mental barriers, choosing to bravely face the world and be with him. And for that single act of kindness, Joey Hui carried an eternal, overwhelming gratitude for Ye Qingyao. Years ago, he had even taken his sister on a special, dedicated trip right back to that exact same little park. They were desperately hoping to track down Ye Qingyao, just so they could stand side by side and personally express their deepest thanks to her. It was just a heartbreaking pity that, despite returning to that park countless times together, they never managed to catch even a glimpse of Ye Qingyao again. He honestly thought they were destined to never cross paths again in this lifetime. But he never could have predicted what awaited him after graduation. When he transferred to the Star Moon Bay Cryopreservation Experimental Base, he looked through the glass of a cryopod and was absolutely stunned to see none other than Ye Qingyao inside. The director in charge of the facility at the time sat Joey Hui down and recounted the tragic, beautiful story of Ye Qingyao and me. Hearing our story, Joey Hui was shaken to his core, utterly convinced that destiny itself had arranged for all of us to reunite in this frozen sanctuary. From that exact split second onward, his life had a brand new purpose. Joey Hui swore a silent oath to engineer a flawless, completely safe human thawing method, entirely dedicated to waking Ye Qingyao and me. Back then, it was Ye Qingyao's guiding words that had saved him and his sister. And now, the tables were turned, and it was finally his absolute duty to save Ye Qingyao and me. Honestly, I hit retirement age years ago, but I just couldn't leave. To see you open your eyes again, I forced myself to hold on for just a few more years. Elder Joe explained with a soft, peaceful smile. Now that you are finally awake and safe, my lifelong wish is completely fulfilled, and I can happily retire in peace to spend my days with my sister. Fate truly works in the most breathtaking ways. Two passionate, age-gap romances had crossed exactly 50 years of time, miraculously saving and fulfilling one another. Right after that incredibly emotional reunion, Ye Qingyao and I personally accompanied Elder Joe all the way back to his home. And waiting right at his doorstep was his beautiful 83-year-old sister, tenderly holding a cat in her lap as she patiently waited for her beloved old man to return. Along the way, Elder Joe hadn't forgotten a thing, bringing home a little box of her absolute favorite chocolate candies. Gazing at this precious elderly couple, their hair completely white, but their eyes shining with the exact same fierce love they had from the very beginning. Ye Qingyao and I couldn't help but intertwine our fingers, gripping each other's hands so much tighter. Sister Yao Yao, are we going to be this incredibly happy in the future too? We will. I promise to make you the happiest man in the world, forever. This was the profound commitment she swore to me, an absolute vow she would never, ever break. For as long as we lived in this lifetime,